Do you know where all the hiding places are in your house? Where would you put something you didn't want anyone else to find? I'm not talking wads of money, though that would be lovely. No, just something you'd rather other people kept their noses out of. Now, I'm assuming you're an adult, so you're probably confident you do know the special places. But cast your mind back to when you were 8 or 9. Did you know then? Did you ever go hunting for hidden things? Go on, you can admit it. No one's listening. I bet you did. I bet you checked out the backs of wardrobes, any shoe boxes, that small suitcase, old handbags, especially when your birthday was getting near, or Christmas. You did, didn't you? Honestly, I won't tell if you own up now. No? Oh, right. Just me then. I do have an excuse ready. My excuse is I come from a big family. So when there are 8 of you living in the house, anything could easily get mislaid, couldn't it? I was helping with the housekeeping. I was putting my efforts into doing my bit to ensure things were tidy and everything was in its right place. Well, that was my story, and I stuck to it until it literally became unstuck. Any searching I did do had to be done when no one was around, which wasn't very often, as you can imagine. So if I did find anything, I usually didn't have the full time needed to explore it then and there. That would take several carefully timed visits. I do recall once finding a little bit of a letter in one of my mum's old handbags, which I thought was a very special find. But I couldn't look at it at my leisure then. I had to wait a couple of days before I had the chance to look properly. What could it be? Was it maybe just a shopping list? A bill? But it could be something more exciting. The most exciting of all, could it be a love letter? Imagine my disappointment when I found it probably was part of a love letter, but I couldn't read the handwriting. I now know it would have been from my dad, and no one in the family has ever been able to read his handwriting. I think he must have been destined to become a doctor, but he missed his vocation. So here I am. I'm opening the airing cupboard at the top of the stairs. Nothing much in there. A big copper cylinder for heating the water, some towels and sheets and pillowcases and... hang on. Wait a minute. What's that glinting in the darkness at the back of the shelf? Can I reach it? Do I have time to reach it before someone comes up the stairs? I'm now wobbling about on tiptoe, feeling around it when, yes, I've got hold of whatever it is. And it feels very curious. Not anything I recognise. Well, why would I? I mean, how many families keep not 1, not 2, but 3 golden crowns covered with jewels in their airing cupboards? Not many, but ours did. I had just enough time to take the first one out and examine it, and what a wondrous thing it was. Yes, it was a beautiful crown, proper gold colour, obviously handmade with cotton wool around the brim. But even more impressive were the jewels on it. They took my breath away. There were so many of them, all bright colours, some glittery, some smooth. But do you know what was the most impressive thing of all? The jewels were all edible. I've never seen so many fruit gums and fruit pastils in one place. Before I had a chance to check them out any further, I heard the downstairs lounge door open. Someone was coming. I quickly shoved them back into the recesses of the shelf, quietly closed the door, tiptoed across the landing into my bedroom, and lay on my bed, pretending to be reading. Another person coming, then another. I obviously wasn't going to get a good look at them this evening, but I knew they were there. I knew no one else knew about them, or they would have questioned what they were, and we would know why they were in there. Those questions weren't what was going through my brain. What was going through my brain was, when could I get to savour the taste of those jewels? Now, you know how if, say, you love chocolate, which I do, and you have some in the fridge, and maybe you've had as much as you should have in one sitting. But that chocolate, it knows your name, and it keeps quietly calling you over and over, whispering to start with, and then getting louder and louder until it's almost shouting at you to just open the door. Just take a peek at it. Just check up on it. Well, you have to in the end, don't you? It's only right. Anything could have happened. There might have been a power cut and it's melting. Something might have spilt on it. Or, even worse, someone else has visited the fridge and eaten a chunk of it. Well, those jewels were doing that to me. Whispering to start with, then calling, then almost shouting my name. So I had to go and check up on them, didn't I? And how would I know if they were all right if I didn't try one? After all, they might be going mouldy. I had no idea. They could have been in that cupboard for years, suffocating in the heat of the cylinder and the weight of the sheets. So I resigned my job as housekeeper and took up the job of head of the quality control department. And despite the slight taste of the glue, I have to say, the quality was good, if a little less fruity than I would have expected. At first, I only had one or two, but when no one seemed to have noticed, I was running what can only be described as a slow-motion jewel theft operation. And over time, those glittering crowns became less and less impressive, until after a while they could hardly be called crowns at all, more like junkyard jewellery. And it wasn't long after that my days as a jewel thief came to an end, when I was apprehended mid-thieving. My housekeeping excuse didn't wash. Housekeepers don't usually eat the things they're looking after. But both my parents seemed far less angry about it than I had imagined they would be. Now, of course, as a parent and grandparent myself, I know they were probably more amused than angry. And knowing my dad, I expected he loved regaling his office friends with the story of how he came home to find his daughter had eaten the crown jewels. But that doesn't mean I got away with it, as I did get a slap around the back of my legs for being naughty. But I was used to that, as I know I was quite a naughty little girl. However, there is a postscript to this story that I've only found out recently, and I'm in my late 70s now. While I was a naughty girl, my younger sister was a real goody two-shoes child. I don't recall her ever being in trouble. In fact, most days my dad would call her name and tell her she was going to get a good thrashing. And when, with a terrified look on her face, she'd ask why, he'd always say, "Just in case you're naughty." And then we'd all laugh, as she was always terrified that he meant it. I mean, what can you do? She was a beautiful child, lovely blonde curly hair, lovely blue eyes. Who's not going to believe she's a goody-goody? Or that she could do anything naughty? Well, we were chatting recently, and I told her I was going to tell this story of the crowns, thinking she knew nothing about this episode and didn't know anything about the crown's existence. But no. When I started to tell her, she said, and I quote, "Oh yes, I remember those crowns. I used to pick the jewels off and eat them. No one ever knew." Huh, she's right. No one ever did know, including me. And she was employed in the quality control department too. I was head of that department, or so I thought. I'm looking at her in a new light now, wondering what else I took a slap around the legs for on her behalf. Sis, if you're watching this, don't worry. My lips are sealed. I won't tell. Well, I did say I would tell a light-hearted story this week after last week's sad one, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you have, please like and subscribe. It does mean a lot. And maybe this story has unlocked something you remember from your childhood. If so, I'd love to hear about it. Once again, if you've stayed with me until the end, thank you. I really do appreciate it. I expect you're wearing in your rambling boots a bit now. So, until the next time you have to get them out, happy rambling.